Now we're going to talk about rounding numbers. This is Rges Pre-Algebra 1.5 is the lesson. And to round a number, we are always asking, first off, we have to ask you which place value we want you to round to. Let's say we have the number 238. And I want to round it to the tens place. So what I'm asking is to the tens, to the nearest tens. Would this be 230 using the value that's already in the tens place, or 240 using a value that is one more in the tens place? So the number 238, which is it closer to? 230 or 240? Well, it's closer to 240, and you should know that. You understand how numbers count. So that is really all we're doing when we're rounding. Now, there are a few rules I can use to round very large numbers so as not to get confused, but that's the basic concept. Let me talk about one more. What if I had 235? Again, is that closer to 230 or 240 if I'm rounding to the tens place? Well, the funny thing about this example is 5 is smack dab in the middle. But we have a convention that says if it's 5 or greater, if it's right in the middle, round up. So the answer here would also be 240. Now, the strategy, as long as you understand the idea, you can think about this in some pretty brief steps. One, everything, let's say I want to round this to the tens place. Identify the place you want to round to. Copy everything before. Ask yourself, do I round up or leave the same? In this case, what? You leave it the same. Why? Because the number immediately to the right is not 5 or greater. And everything to the right of the value you're rounding to becomes a 0. So to the nearest tens place, the number 8,763 would be rounded to 8,760. What if I were to round it to the nearest hundreds place? Again, I'll start with my number. I'm looking, identify the place value, copy everything to the left, ask myself, do I round up or not, or leave the same? Your answer is you round it up, so it's no longer a 7, but now an 8. Why? Because the value immediately to the right of the place value you're concerned with is 5 or greater. Everything else becomes a 0. So to the nearest hundreds place, 8763 rounds to 8,800 or 8,800. And hopefully this also is review for you. I'm going to let you do the problems on your own. I just want to illustrate one more idea to you. This is very important. What if I had 7, 6, 9, 7, and I wanted to round that up to the nearest tens place? Identify the tens place. Normally I would say copy everything, watch this, to the left, which is probably not my best order, because what happens when I get to the 9? Do I round the 9 up? And the answer is yes. Why? Because the number immediately to the right is 5 or greater. But how do I round a 9 up? What's 1 greater than 9? Well, I can't write anything in the tens place that would be 1 greater. I really have to consider what's 1 greater than 69. Well, what's 1 greater than 69 would be now 7 for the thousands place, 70. 1 greater than 69 is 70. And then everything to the right is 0. So to the nearest tens place, 7697 rounds to 7,700. Or 7,700. So be careful when you see a 9 in there. That's a very important idea. Okay, go ahead and do your work, correct it, bring any problems to class. I am going to start breaking these videos up into shorter ones so that each one is not so complicated and only deals with one idea.